Welcome back, everybody. So today we're gonna get to a video that I was planning for the future, but someone asked about it in the comments. So I think now's about a good time as any to get into it. And that is, why did I leave a career in academia and go into industry? For those of you that have been around for a while, at some of my earlier videos, I talked about wanting to pursue a career in academics. And now some of my later videos have talked about my transition into industry. So why did I make that jump? This isn't so much of a advice video as it is just opening up. Never thought I would be talking about this on the internet, but here we are. Let's discuss kind of, the three big reasons why I decided to move out of academia and into industry. So to understand my move, we have to go all the way back to grad school, where I was finishing up and looking for a postdoc position. And at this point, I was coming out of a really big name lab. I was really, really fortunate to land in this lab. Things worked out great. I had published really exceptionally well, and I had built up quite a good CV for a grad student. And at the time I thought, the pinnacle of what I want to do is to be a PI just like this. And, I'm sure that most of you that are in grad school have had the same experience where people have almost looked at industry as this like lesser than thing than if you were to stay in academics. And I wanted to make my PI proud. I wanted to, stick with my original goal of going into into academics. And so when I looked for labs, I was specifically looking for labs that I thought was going to set me up for a career in academia. And the lab that I chose was at Harvard, specifically because one, the PI was excellent, so that's covered. Two, I think it's good when you're trying to go into academia to be doing a postdoc at a larger school, right? So if you do a postdoc at a tier 1 school, it'll set you up to do a PI position at a tier 2 school. Whereas if you're doing your postdoc at a tier 2 school, it'll set you up more for a tier 3 school. And it's not necessarily always like that. That's not 100% of the time, of course, but in general, I think that the institute you do your postdoc at does actually make a difference if you want to go into academia. So I had found a great lab. It was at Harvard. This PI really had a reputation of having students that had really good funding. They had really good publications. They had gone around the world to find, academic positions. And so I went into that lab starting with all of the expectation that that's exactly what I was going to be doing, was that I was going to go ahead and I was going to start, my career basically. And what ended up happening was a few things changed. So the first thing that changed was me looking at the landscape of finding a position as a PI. So there was a postdoc that was in my lab that was much more senior than me. By the time I had joined the lab, he had actually been promoted up to a junior faculty member. And he's a rock star. I mean, this guy, I'm sure everyone knows someone like this. Like, when they know science, they know science. They know everything, not just about their project, but they seem to know everything. Chemistry, biology, physiology. They just understand how everything works. This guy had papers. I mean, he had, a couple lower impact papers, but he had those really high Cell Nature Science publications. He had a ton of co-authorships, even in some of these higher journals. He had grants, from training grants to fellowships to, early career development awards. He had everything that you could ask for. I mean, he was the ideal role model. And I totally looked up to this guy and felt, yeah, I want to emulate exactly what he's doing because he's doing something right. And as I've been there, I realized he really has a hard time finding a job. In fact, he still hasn't found the academic job he's been looking for. And it's not just him. I knew several people that were, in big name labs at Harvard that did everything right. They had the papers, they had the experience, they had the grants. And they just either couldn't find a job, or the jobs that they found were just ones that they didn't really want. And that kind of spooked me a little bit, thinking to myself that the landscape is such that to find a faculty position, it's so hard. Do I really want to spend 5 or 6 or 7 years doing a postdoc only to end up in industry anyways? That was one of the realistic things for me. The second thing that happened was more of me wanting to branch out and do more. I had felt that I'd gotten to the point in academia where I had reached the top of what I wanted to do, that I learned the ins and outs of, some of the basics of science, writing papers, writing grants. I had done all that. And I wanted a change. First of all, I didn't want to write grants for my whole career. That's certainly not what I wanted to do. But I definitely wanted to go ahead and start looking into something else and try to branch out, learn something new, experience new things. My wife works in industry, and I was kind of envious of her. You know, she made good money. She was doing new and exciting things. She was working on drugs that are actually going to make their way into people. And that was a big catalyst for me to say, you know what? I've already gotten what I want out of academia. I want to try something new. I want to try something challenging. I kind of want to switch my career and put it on a new trajectory, learn new things. The last thing that happened was a little bit of money. So for those of you that have ever been around the Boston area or are familiar with the Boston area, it is expensive. And having a family and a kid in Boston is really expensive. And what ended up happening was sort of having to make that decision that, okay, you know, to keep this train moving, we need to start bringing in more money that a postdoc just isn't going to bring in. And we were years away from me, you know, potentially being able to actually get a faculty position. And so the, you know, part of the decision was just needing to bring in more money. You know, that's just part of the truth. It's not the most glamorous answer, I know, and, you know, more about wanting to find a new path is one of the larger parts of it. But I think that it would be dishonest to say that money didn't play any kind of an issue. You know, you don't want to sell out yourself or your dreams, but at the same time, you need to make money to be able to support your family. And so, you know, that was one of the things that happened. So I know this is a different kind of video. This is more me opening up about my own experiences. You know, of course, as always, if you like this kind of video, hit the thumbs up button down below. It'll let me know that this is the kind of videos that you guys like seeing put out. It'll help the YouTube algorithm to help, you know, promote this video to more viewers so we could keep growing the channel and helping out others. If you have any questions about this specific video or there's any other kinds of videos you want to see, make sure to comment down below. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.